तेरी ज़हरा पे मुसीबत की घड़ी है, कैसे दरवाज़ा हटाऊं, कैसे मोहसिन को बचाऊं, सांस सीने में रुकी है, तेरी ज़हरा पे मुसीबत की घड़ी है बाबा तेरी ज़हरा पे मुसीबत की घड़ी है, तेरी उम्मत ने बना दी है ये हालत बाबा, कोई पसली भी नहीं मेरी सलामत बाबा, सांस लेती हूँ मैं जिस दम रुकने लगता है मेरा दम, सिर्फ मरने की कमी है, तेरी ज़हरा पे मुसीबत की घड़ी है। गुज़री 18 बरस में ही वो मुझ पर बाबा, सिन मेरा लगता है फिजा के बराबर बाबा, खुद गवाही तुम्हें देगी मेरे बालों की सफेदी, जो जफा मुझे पे हुई है, तेरी ज़हरा पे मुसीबत की घड़ी है, जब से हसनैन के बाबा से सुना है ये कलाम, मुझको अब कोई मदीने में नहीं करता सलाम, तब से ये हाल है मेरा, अपने गम भूल के बाबा, बस मुझे फिक्र अली है, तेरी ज़हरा पे मुसीबत की घड़ी है, कभी दरबार में पेशी को बुलाते हैं हमें, कभी दरवाजे पे आके सताते हैं हमें, मेरे ये भूल से बचे पूछते हैं यही मुझसे, क्या खता हमसे हुई है, तेरी ज़हरा पे मुसीबत की घड़ी है, और शर्म आती है भला तुमको बताऊं कैसे ये तमाचों के निशान तुमको दिखाऊं कैसे, तुम न पहचान सकोगे, देख कर मुझसे कहोगे क्या मेरी ज़हरा यही है। तेरी ज़हरा पे मुसीबत की घड़ी है, हाय बाबा तेरी ज़हरा पे मुसीबत की घड़ी है। सलवात पर
I request everyone to move a little bit closer towards the member. Thank you. Also, the brothers in the back hall can join us in the main hall. We'd really appreciate that. Inshallah, after the majlis, after the know-how, we will have a Q&A session, so do stay back for that, and we will answer your questions as much as we can. By we, I mean he. Please come and take the member. Loud salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. If we can begin by reciting Surah Al-Fatiha for the thawab of all our marhumin and marhumat, shuhada who have passed away on the wilayah of Ahlul Bayt, and including the child who was brutally murdered, Zakaria, in Hijaz a couple of days back. Rahimallahu man qara'a Surah Al-Mubarakat Al-Fatiha. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله بارئ الخلائق الأجمعين، باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين، ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء حبيب قلوبنا وشفيع ذنوبنا أبي القاسم محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. ثم الصلاة والسلام على أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين، لا سيما ولي الله الحجة ابن الحسن صاحب الأمر والزمان. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. روحي وأرواح العالمين له الفداء، ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين من الأولين والآخرين إلى قيام يوم الدين. أما بعد، قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم: إن الله لا يغضب لغضب فاطمة ويرضى لرضاها. صدق النبي وآمنا به. زينوا مجالسكم بذكر محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. باعتبار tonight is the last majlis for this dhikr mubarakah, the majalis of Sayyidat Nisa al-Alameen, Let us raise our hands and 5 times recite dua for shifa'ah for those mu'mineen and mu'minat who are not in the best of health. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم عما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء عما يجيب عما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء عما يجيب عما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء اللهم إنا نسألك بحق سيدة فاطمة الزهراء أم أبيها وسيدة نساء العالمين. We pray to Allah by the sake of Sayeda Fatima Zahra أم أبيها. Ya Allah, mu'mineen and mu'minat who have come here to attend the majlis of Sayeda Fatima Zahra, Ya Allah, do not let anybody leave except that you have fulfilled their hajat, Ya Allah. By the sake of Sayeda Fatima Zahra, mu'mineen and mu'minat who are going through difficulties, you make ease for them all their trials and tribulations. Ya Allah, mu'mineen and mu'minat who have passed away, by the sake of Sayeda Fatima Zahra, grant them the highest level in Jannah. Ya Allah, by the sake of Sayeda Fatima Zahra. Mu'mineen and mu'minat who have come and upheld the dhikr of Sayeda Fatima, Ya Allah, give us the rizq and give us the blessing of seeking the shafa'ah of Sayeda Fatima Zahra Yawm al-Qiyamah. Ya Allah, by the sake of Sayeda Fatima Zahra, hasten the reappearance of Imam al-Hujjah and make us to be worthy from amongst his servants and his followers. All of this with the barakat of allowed salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Ahibba'i, you find that the nature of the tragedy that befell upon Sayyidati Nisa'il Alameen, the manner in which she was assaulted, and the individuals who carried out this heinous act of attacking Sayyidati Nisa'il Alameen and being ultimately responsible for her martyrdom, you find that there are a number of questions and there are a number of objections that come across by people who try to study and analyze the dhulm and the oppression that happened on Sayeda Fatima Zahra. And many times you find that questions and objections are of 2 types. Sometimes a person questions the event in order to find out the truth, because he is seeking for the truth, he is searching for haqq. But then you have, on the other hand, where people come forward and place objections and plant seeds of doubt on the issue of the oppression of Sayeda Fatima Zahra, with the intention of denying the event either in its entirety or negating certain parts of the dhulm. Come forward and they say, yes, Sayyidat Nisa'il Alameen was madhluma, she was oppressed, but not towards the extent, not to the extent that the Shia say. It's an exaggeration. And you find that these types of objections, particularly in the manner in which Sayyidat Nisa'il Alameen was martyred, you find that these are objections that not only do not only fall upon us from those who are outside of the madhab, but ya subhanallah, you find that in recent history, individuals and figures from even inside the madhab begin to doubt the madhlumiyah of Sayyidat Nisa'il Alameen. And hence, it is absolutely important for you and I, Shi'as of Ali Muhammad, Shi'as of Fatima, the lovers of Fatima, that we are equipped with knowledge and with akhlaq and with eloquence. We are able to answer these questions and understand these objections. Number one, to safeguard our own faith and our own aqidah, the aqidah of our youth and the generations to come after us. And number two, to provide guidance and enlightenment for those who may not be within our circles. And this is, Tara, this is a big responsibility upon us. You have a verse in the Holy Quran where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَقِفُوهُمْ إِنَّهُمْ مَسْئُولُونَ. In the tafsir of this ayah, you find that there will be groups of people within the mahshar who are preparing themselves to enter into Jannah. As they are walking towards the door of Jannah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala calls out, or there is a call, a nida from the malaika, tab'an by the amr and the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is a call made out, stop these people, waqifuhum, ajib, they are going to Jannah. Allah says, la, stop them, innahum mas'ulun. Indeed, they are questionable. We have to ask them, they are accountable. Tafasir of the mufassirin of the Quran come forward, and hadith mabali, what is in my mind from Imam Ja'far ibn Muhammad as-Sadiq salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayhi, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. He states they shall be stopped and they will be asked about the wilayah of Ali Muhammad, the wilayah of Amirul Mu'mineen. Your responsibility towards Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam. We said, Ashhadu anna Aliya waliyullah. We believe that Sayyidat Nisa al-Alameen is the hujjah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on earth, as we proved yesterday. The hujjah of Sayyidat Nisa al-Alameen greater than that of the Anbiya as per the Quran. Tayyib. What did you do for Ahlul Bayt? You have a responsibility towards them. And the most basit, the most simplest, the lowest form of responsibility is that we uphold their commemorations and that we protect those attacks that try to deny all trace of any sort of oppression on Sayyidat Nisa al-Alameen. This is the meaning of mawadda. Allahumma waliman walahum wa adiman adahum. You come in every ziyarah, takriban every ziyarah that we recite when we go to the ziyarat of Ahlul Bayt. Ana silmul liman salamakum wa harbul liman harabakum. Where is this silm? Where is this wali? Where is this adi wa harib? Where? In our stances that we take in our daily lives, when it comes to upholding the legacy of Ahlul Bayt. And there is nothing to do with violence over here. Everything is through dalil and the burhan and through eloquence. وَجَادِلْهُمْ بِالَّتِي هِيَ أَحْسَنُ. Debate with them in the best of manners with dalil. For having said this, we come, and inshallah the plan for tonight is that we want to recite the maqtal of Sayyidat Nisa al-Alameen and relive the last moments of her life. But at the same time, we have 2 or 3 of these objections, inshallah, that we want to try and clarify for the mu'mineen, and hopefully the answers are sufficient and act as a hujjah. Tayyib. The first objection that comes forward, or the first question that is asked in regards to Sayyidat Nisa al-Alameen, is that where is Sayeda Fatima Zahra buried? Number 1. And number 2, why is it that we don't know where she is buried? When we come back to the ulama and we come back to the mufassirin or the muhakkikeen, historians, they come forward and they say to us that there are three possibilities of where Sayyidat Nisa al-Alameen may be buried. The first possibility is that she is buried inside of her own house. Yani Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam buried her in her house. And you find that during the time of Bani Umayyah, Lu'ana, they expanded the mosque of Rasulullah, and with the expansion of Masjidun Nabawi, the remains of the house of Amirul Mu'mineen and Sayyidat Nisa al-Alameen then became a part of that wider mosque. As you know, according to the original plan of Masjidun Nabawi, the door of Amirul Mu'mineen and Sayyidat Nisa al-Alameen, their house was right next to Masjidun Nabawi. And what we understand is that there were perhaps two doors to the house. One door that opened up to the main street and one door that opened into the mosque of Masjidun Nabawi. And this is when Rasulullah gave the exemption to Amirul Mu'mineen that everybody's doors leading into the mosque should be closed except his door and the door of Amirul Mu'mineen. For you find that the first set of historians, and from the historians who mention that Sayyidah Zahra was buried inside of the house, you have Sheikh At-Tusi and Sayyid Ibn Tawus, who are of the opinion that Sayyidah Zahra was buried in her house. And then you have a second opinion that states that Sayeda Fatima Zahra was actually buried inside Masjidun Nabawi between the mimbar of Rasulullah and the grave of Rasulullah. This area which is known as the Rawda, which is why we have a hadith from Rasulullah that states that between my grave and the mimbar there is a garden from the gardens of Jannah. For some of the ulama have come forward, and from those of the Shia ulama who have put forward this belief or put forward this opinion that Sayyidah Zahra is buried in Masjidun Nabawi between the mimbar and the grave of Rasulullah. One of them is Sheikh Saduq, rahmatullah alayh. This is the second opinion. The third opinion is that Sayyidah Zahra is buried in Jannatul Baqi'. And you find this opinion that is put forward by Sulaim bin Qais al-Hilali, rahmatullah alayh, in his book Kitab Sulaim bin Qais al-Hilali, which is one of the most oldest books that have been left behind in terms of the heritage of Ahlul Bayt. One of the most credible books that you find within the madhab of Ahlul Bayt. And there may be kalam, yes, there might be nikash in the manner in which Kitab Sulaim has reached us today. But in regards to the i'tibar of the kitab as the kitab in itself, and i'tibar by way of the author, Sulaim bin Qais al-Hilali himself, you find that the asateen, that those who are the masters of this madhab have attested to its authenticity. And you find that Bain al-Qawsayn, between brackets, you find that Kitab Sulaim was actually authenticated by a number of the A'imma, including Imam al-Sadiq, such that Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam, when he looked through Kitab Sulaim, he came forward and it is narrated that he stated, those who do not have Kitab Sulaim do not know any of the secrets of Ali Muhammad. You find Kitab Sulaim, alhamdulillah wa shukr, is translated in multiple languages. It is also available, widely available in bookstores and perhaps online in Urdu and in English as well, and in multiple languages. And it is important for us to understand the extent of the dhulm, and if a person wants to understand the general environment of what happened after the martyrdom of Rasulullah, then Kitab Sulaim is a primary text to refer back to. And you find that when in this book, Kitab Sulaim, he mentions that Sayyidat Nisa al-Alameen is buried in Jannatul Baqi', he puts forward that when Amirul Mu'mineen buried Sayyidat Nisa al-Alameen, the next day the Sahabi of Rasulullah, the Ashab of Rasulullah came, hoping that they will now participate in the funeral of Sayyidah Zahra. They saw that Amirul Mu'mineen has dug 40 graves inside of Jannatul Baqi'. In order to conceal the grave of Sayyidah Zahra, he dug 40 other graves. So when they woke up in the morning to participate in the funeral, they saw that there were 40 freshly dug graves inside of Jannatul Baqi'. And then you have Ibn Sahak come forward and began to shout inside of Masjidun Nabawi, stating that this is the hatred of Ibn Abi Talib towards us. They did not, yani he, Amirul Mu'mineen, Ibn Abi Talib did not let us participate in the funeral of Rasulullah, and today they have, because they missed the funeral of Rasulullah, being busy inside of Saqifa selecting the next Khalif. He said they refused us. He refused us to participate in the burial of Rasulullah, and today he has refused us to participate in the burial of the daughter of Rasulullah. And it is over here that he came out with a number of the Sahaba, and the decree was given to unearth the grave, to dig open the grave, remove the body of Sayeda Fatima Zahra so that they may recite salat on it. Inside of this book, Kitab Sulaim bin Qais al-Hilali mentions that when Amirul Mu'mineen heard this, he went into his house. He put on his qaba, which was yellow in color, and he removed his dhulfiqar. And he walked out to Jannatul Baqi with eyes that were red and filled with tears. He looked at the Sahaba and he drew a line on the earth of Jannatul Baqi with the Dhulfiqar. And he said, if anyone was to cross this line and even remove one grain of sand from any one of these graves, the land of Medina shall flow with the blood of these Sahaba. And when they saw this anger of Amirul Mu'mineen, and they remembered this feat and this courage of Khaybar and Hunayn and Uhud and Khandaq, none of them had that majal to take a step towards the grave of Sayyidat Nisa'il Alameen. For therefore, you find, Ya Ahibba'i, that there are three narrations, or there are three historical opinions as to where the grave of Sayyidat Zahra may possibly be. Having said this, nobody knows for sure where this grave is. And perhaps this is going to be a reality that is made public for us upon the dhuhur of the Imam. But the question is, why is this grave unknown? Why is the grave of Sayyidah Zahra unknown? The answer for this, Ya Ahibba'i, is that Sayyidah Zahra herself willed for the grave to be unknown. And let me read for you a part of her wasiyah by text, because this is in way of proof of establishing this. This is mentioned in Kitab Misbahul Anwar, and you have the hadith around the same effect narrated in Kitab al-Kafi of Sheikh al-Kulayni rahmatullah alayh, and in the Amali of Sheikh al-Saduq, where Sayyidah Zahra says to Amirul Mu'mineen, أوصيك أن لا يشهد أحد جنازتي من هؤلاء الذين ظلموني وأخذوا من حقي. My wasiyah to you, Ya Ali, is that those people who oppressed me, who did dhulm on me, and those people who took my haqq, my inheritance, my right away from me, not a single one of them should be allowed to be present at my janazah. Ajib. This is Sayyidah Zahra, whose hujjiyah is over the hujjiyah of the Anbiya, as we said yesterday. Look what she says. فَإِنَّهُمْ عَدُوِّي وَعَدُو رَسُولَ اللَّهِ. Indeed, they are my enemies and the enemies of Rasulullah. وَلَا يُصَلِّ عَلَيِّ أَحَدٌ مِّنْهُمْ وَلَا مِنْ أَتْبَاعِهِمْ. I do not want any one of them to pray on me, to pray over my janazah. I do not want any one of their followers to be present in my janazah. وَادْفِنِّي فِي اللَّيْلِ إِذَا حَدَأَتِ الْعُيُونُ وَنَامَتِ الْأَبْصَارِ. And I want you, Ya Ali, to bury me in the darkness of the nights when the eyes have gone to sleep, when the people have gone to sleep. For we understand from this wasiyah of Sayyidat Nisa'il Alameen that she willed for her grave to be unknown, for her grave to be majhul, such that it can be a form of protest against the dhulm that happened after the martyrdom of Rasulullah until Yawmul Qiyamah. From the time of her istishhad until Yawmul Qiyamah, any person born a Muslim, when he goes to Mecca or to Medina to perform the Hajj or the Ziyarah of Rasulullah, he will look to the east and look to the west and say, where is the grave of the only daughter of Fatima? And no one will have any answer except to say that she was madhluma and she willed that no one knows where her grave is because the haqq of Ali was taken. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. This is a protest, the only daughter of Rasulullah. This Fatima who is Sayyidat Nisa'il Alameen. Where is she buried? Where is she buried? And therefore the grave being majhul, the location being unknown, is a form of protest on the madhlumiyah of Amirul Mu'mineen and the madhlumiyah of Ahlul Bayt in general. So therefore, the fact that the grave is unknown doesn't mean the tragedy didn't happen on her. Rather, it is a greater proof that she was oppressed and unhappy with the companions of Rasulullah. Tayyib. This is one. Number two, the second misconception or the second question that is generally asked is that when was the actual shahada of Sayyidat Nisa'il Alameen? When was she actually martyred? Ulama in history come forward and they put for us three major riwayat. If you actually do tahqiq in history, you will find there are at least 10 days that are listed as possible dates of shahada for Sayeda Zahra. What is mashhur, what has become famous and well known amongst the Muslims, is that there are three possible dates for the istishhad of Sayeda Zahra. You find the first one again mentioned by Sulaim bin Qais al-Hilali in his book Kitab Sulaim, is that Sayyidat Nisa'il Alameen lived for 40 days after the shahada of Rasulullah. And as per this opinion, the first possible shahada date is the 8th of Rabiul Thani. And then you have a second narration where it is narrated in Basairud Darajat that she lived for 75 days after the shahada of Rasulullah, which would mean that the date of the shahada is 13th of Jamadil Awwal. And then you have a third narration which is narrated by Sheikh Mufid and Sheikh Tusi, that Sayyidat Zahra lived for 95 days after the shahada of Rasulullah, meaning that the date of the shahada would be the 3rd of Jamadul Thani. Three possible dates. And which is why you will find that it has been within customs in many parts of the world that all three dates are commemorated. And it is given the general term, the first Fatimiyya, second Fatimiyya, and the third Fatimiyya. Tayyib. The question over here is that, why is it that if the dhulm was so apparent, the Muslims are not in agreement over a single day when Sayyidah Zahra passed away? There are many reasons for this. But what is sufficient for us to say is that the fact that even the date of her istishhad is hidden from us shows us that Sayyidah Zahra, everything attached to her is a secret from the secrets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Her ma'rifah is a secret from the secrets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Her grave site is a secret from the secrets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the same with the date of her martyrdom. One of the ulama, it is mentioned within the Hawza Ilmiya, he wanted to do some research to find the exact date of the Shahada. And he began to do his work and his research. It's very famously narrated in the Hawza Najaf al-Ashraf. One of the nights, Sayyidat Nisa al-Alameen comes to this Sheikh in his dream. She says to him, Ya Sheikh, what are you researching? He says, Mawlati, I'm researching the date of your exact istishhad. She said, why? He said, so that the mu'mineen can commemorate one day for your shahada. Do you know what was the answer of Sayyidat Zahra? She replied back to him. She said, oh Sheikh, and does it hurt you that my Shia remember me multiple times in a year? And from here we understand that even the date of the Shahada of Sayyidat Zahra is concealed from us, such that we can take 3 opportunities in a year to uphold the dhikr and the madhlumiyah of Sayyidah Fatima Zahra. And billah, wallah, qasam on the mimbar of Ahlul Bayt, every commemoration that you make for Sayyidah Zahra has a different khususiyah, has a different sha'an, has a different barakah attached to it. You try yourself. Attend the second Fatimiyya, attend the first Fatimiyya and the third Fatimiyya. From every Fatimiyya majlis, even if the same majlis was to be recited, the ruhaniyya will feel different for you. Do you know why? Because the Shahada date of Sayyidah Zahra is no different from Laylatul Qadr. Inna anzalnahu fi Laylatul Qadr. وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا لَيْلَةُ الْقَدْرِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and we revealed it on the night of Qadr. Laylatul Qadr. Layla in Arabic, singular for night. Laylatul Qadr, one night of Qadr. Yet you find, how many nights do we commemorate for Qadr? 3 nights, 19, 21, 23. We have a hadith from Imam as-Sadiq alayhi salam where he compares, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad, where he compares Laylatul Qadr, the sha'an of Laylatul Qadr, to the sha'an of Sayyidah Fatima Zahra, stating that Fatima Zahra is the Laylatul Qadr. There's no coincidences in this religion, in this deen that you follow. And you know that there is this Amr Ilahi. There is a hand and there is a power Ilahi that manages and governs these majalis of Sayyidat Nisa al-Alameen. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Tayyib, this is 2. Number 3. Person comes forward and he has the objection. He says, how is it possible? How is it possible that Amirul Mu'mineen would allow Sayyidat Zahra to go behind the door when he knew on the other side you have people who are going to attack her? This is an ishkal that has been put forward by both people outside of the madhab and the people within the madhab, with the objective of denying the dhulm on Sayyidah Zahra altogether. For they come forward and they say, Amirul Mu'mineen, the strongest man on earth, granted powers by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he knew that these people of Saqifa are coming, and as we heard yesterday in the Maktal, Ubay ibn Ka'ab stated 300 people marched from Masjid al-Nabawi, such that when they came towards the house of Sayyidah Zahra and Amirul Mu'mineen, the land of Medina was trembling. They came on horses, they came with spears, they came with firewood. Amirul Mu'mineen knew that these guys, and Sayyidah Zahra knew that these people outside are violent. Why would Amirul Mu'mineen let Sayyidah Zahra to the door? They put this ishkal over there. They say, because there is no answer to this, the entire event is fabricated. Now we say the answer comes with tadabbur and tafakkur. A person has to be a alim faqih with an aqidah which is mazboot to be able to understand history. The answer, one answer towards this, one answer towards this is this. Number one, Ya Habibi, this objection is not a new objection. This is not some new discovery or a new ishkal. This was an ishkal that was there from the people of Saqifa themselves. The founding father of Saqifa himself was surprised when he came and he started to shout insults at the door. And Sayyidat Nisa'il Alameen came behind the door. She said to him, Mada turidun wa mada taqulun? What do you want and what are you saying? Why are you shouting outside my door? What did he say to Sayyidat Zahra? He says, and why has Ali sent you to the door while he sits in the house? Sayyidah Zahra answered back by saying, Tughyanuka ya Shaki wa alzimuka al-hujja. I have come over here to be the hujjah of Allah. So we understand a number of things. Over here is the first thing is that Sayyidah Zahra went behind the door, or Amirul Mu'mineen agreed for Sayyidah Zahra to go behind the door. Sayyidah Zahra went behind the door because on the other side they were anticipating for Amirul Mu'mineen to come. These are people who are already willing to wage war. These were people who are already willing to kill Amirul Mu'mineen. Had Amirul Mu'mineen gone to the door, the minute they would have seen Amirul Mu'mineen, they would have killed him there and then. And the books of history would have written for us 1400 years later. Ali was a warrior. Ali had a habit of killing people like the way he did in Khaybar, Khandak and Hunain. So he came to kill the Sahaba. The Sahabas defended themselves. This could have been written. Is there any shock that they could have distorted history? No. How many other things in history have been distorted? The title of Farooq belongs to Amirul Mu'mineen, was given to somebody else. The title of Siddiq belonged to Amirul Mu'mineen, it was given to somebody else. How many ayat of the Quran, Fada'il of Ahlul Bayt, were taken away from Ahlul Bayt and distorted? So if they distorted all that, what was there to stop them from distorting this? You find that they were waiting for Amirul Mu'mineen to come. They were waiting for a chance that they could kill Ali ibn Abi Talib. Sayyidah Zahra came to the door as the hujjah of Allah. As the hujjah of Allah. In order to differentiate between haq and batil, not only for that time, but until Yawmul Qiyamah. Because by Sayyidah Zahra standing behind the door, any person until Yawmul Qiyamah who wants to learn haq, if he comes and reads history and he says, okay, there was a conflict and a disagreement between two parties over who should be the Khalif of Rasulullah. On one side you have the Sahabi, on one side you have Ali. The armed person who has no knowledge, who has not lived, doesn't know. Ali has a case, these other people also have a case. Who is there as a judge who represents the happiness and the anger of Allah? Come and see who is the Imam of Fatima. Fatima alayha salam was there as the divine judge between the party of haq and batil. Her walking behind the door was a jihad. A jihad in which she became Shahida to defend the wilayah of Amirul Mu'mineen. She gave up the most precious thing inside of her. She gave up the life of Muhsin to defend the wilayah of Amirul Mu'mineen. Anybody who doesn't know anything about wilaya and the imamat and khilafah. Person didn't read Ghadir. Person didn't read Ayatul Tathir. Person doesn't know anything. Just ask them, into your zamir, your heart, does it accept that Fatima should be killed in order for bay'ah to be given? Even that person will tell you, La. She became the symbol of haqq. Person comes forward and asks you, Allah Azza wa Jal, how could he allow this to happen on Fatima? Why did Allah allow this to happen? The answer, again, multiple answers, but the same question can be asked on a number of things. Why did Allah allow for Imam al-Hussein to be killed on the day of Ashura? There is a big hikmah, and this allows you to understand the daraja of Ahlul Bayt. Why did these events transpire in the way that they did? See, the answer for this is in the ziyarah of Sayeda Fatima and in a hadith of Amir al-Mu'mineen himself. In this ziyarah of Sayeda Fatima Zahra, which is mentioned in Kitab al-Tahdhib and the Misbah al-Mutahajjid and Kitab al-Mazar al-Kabir, when we are reciting the ziyarah of Sayeda Zahra, and Bain al-Qawsayn, it is again one of our ulama, Ayatollah Mar'ashi al-Najafi, rahmatullah alayh, in one of his dreams, he tried to do tawassul and wasila of Ahlul Bayt to find out the grave of Sayeda Zahra. In his dream, he saw Imam al-Baqir and Imam al-Sadiq. And they said to him, if you want to perform the ziyarah of Sayeda Fatima Zahra, go to Sayeda Ma'suma Qum and recite the ziyarah of Sayeda Fatima Zahra there. Antum ahibba'i, when Allah grants you the tawfiq to perform the ziyarah of Imam Rida and the ziyarah of Imam Sayyida Ma'suma al-Qum, when you go to the haram of Sayyida Ma'suma, when you do pursa for Sayyida Ma'suma, also do pursa for Sayyida Zahra over there. Because it is from this place that her ziyarah is qabul. In the ziyarah of Sayyida Fatima Zahra, we recite, Assalamu alayki ya mumtahanatun. امتحنك الله الذي خلقك قبل أن يخلقك فوجدك لما امتحنك صابرة. Allah. Look at the words of the ziyarah. Peace be upon you. Assalamu alayki. Peace be upon you, Ya Fatima. Which Fatima? Ya Mumtahana. The one whom Allah took her imtihan. So we understand that Allah took an imtihan from Sayyidah Zahra. When did he take the imtihan? Where did he take the imtihan? Ajib, these ziyarat of Ahlul Bayt. Imtahanaki Allah alladhi khalaqaki qabla an yakhluqak. Salam on that Fatima whom Allah took an imtihan from her. But Allah took the imtihan from Fatima before even creating Fatima. Ajib. Yani Allah took an imtihan from Sayyidah Zahra before he created the body of Sayyidah Zahra. Ahna we have, before we were created in this dunya, our souls, our ruh was created thousands and thousands of years ago. And we existed in a realm known as Alam al-Dhar. For example, we have realms of existence before we came to this dunya. So, similarly, we have within our hadith that the first thing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created was the nur of Rasulullah, and then the nur of Amirul Mu'mineen, and from these two nurs He created the nur of Sayyidah Zahra, and then the nur of Imam Hassan, Imam al-Hussein, and the rest of Ahlul Bayt. These we have in the books of the Sunnah and the Shia, Amma and the Khassa. But muhim, the point over here is this, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the nur of Ahlul Bayt thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago before He created anything else from the dunya. So, from this ziyarah, we understand that when Allah Azza wa Jal created the nur of Ahlul Bayt, when there was nothing like light or darkness or water or air or the universe or the dunya, nothing, just the nur of Ahlul Bayt around the arsh of Allah, Allah Azza wa Jal took an imtihan from Sayeda Zahra. What was this imtihan? At that time, Allah asked Sayeda Fatima Zahra, are you willing to be oppressed in order to defend the wilayat of Amirul Mu'mineen? Ya Fatima, are you willing for your rib to be broken in order for the haqq to become clear in the wilayah of Amirul Mu'mineen for this entire alam? Ya Fatima, are you willing for your Muhsin to become shaheed in order for the wilayah of Amirul Mu'mineen to be brought clear and haqq to be, the bayan of haqq to become clear for everyone? In that alam, Sayeda Fatima Zahra said yes for the wilayah of Amirul Mu'mineen. The inference of this is given in Kitab al-Khusaybi Hidayat al-Kubra, by Khusaybi in his book Hidayat al-Kubra. Look at what this says. This hadith talks now when Sayeda Zahra has just been attacked. Amirul Mu'mineen came running towards her. وخروج أمير المؤمنين من داخل الدار محمر العين حاصرا حتى ألقى ملاءته عليها وضمها إلى صدره وصاح يا فضة مولاتك فاقبلي منها ما تقبله النساء فقد جاءها المخاض. Hadith says, when she was attacked, Amirul Mu'mineen went running towards Sayeda Zahra. His eyes were red, covered in tears, bare feet and without an amama. He went running to Sayeda Zahra and he hugged Sayeda Fatima Zahra and he cried out, Ya Fidda, come to your master, your Mawla, Mawlatuki faqbili minha. Come towards your master, for indeed Muhsin has become shaheed. فَقَدْ جَاءَهَا الْمَخَاض, she has miscarried مِنَ الرَّفْسَةِ, from the kick on her stomach. وَرَدُّ الْبَابِ, because she has been crushed behind the door, for Muhsin has become shaheed. Sayeda Fidda comes. Sayeda Zahra is covered in blood. Look at what Amir al-Mu'mineen says. Ya Fidda, لقد عرفه رسول الله وعرفني وعرف فاطمة وعرف الحسن وعرف الحسين اليوم بهذا الفعل ونحن في نور الأذلة أنوار عن يمين العرش. Ya Fidda, this day the dhulm and the assault on Sayeda Zahra and the shahadat of Muhsin, we were told about this, and Rasulullah told us about this, and he told me and Fatima and Hassan and Hussein about this day when we were Noor on the right side of the Arsh. From that day it was decided, this is the sacrifice that is needed to be given in order for the wilayah of Amirul Mu'mineen to be protected and to be made clear, to separate haqq from batil. Then this is the sacrifice Sayeda Zahra gave. Ahibai, Shiaism has not reached us at a cheap price, huh? This wilayah of Amirul Mu'mineen, this Ashhadu anna Aliyyun Waliyullah in your adhan and in your kalima, the qima, the price of this wilayah has been Muhsin and the rib of Sayeda Fatima Zahra.
this wilayah which is in your heart for Amirul Mu'mineen. Do sajda to shukr daily for this wilayah. And do shukr to Sayeda Fatima Zahra. He prayed to Allah Azza wa Jal by the sake of Sayeda Zahra to make us loyal and staunch in our wilayah for Ali Muhammad. There is much to say, but our time is also running out, and the musibah is also little bit lengthy. If the time is little bit over, Mu'mineen, tonight is the last night. Bear with me. Inshallah, your jaza is with Sayyidat Nisa al-Alameen. Sallu ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Ahibai, I want to recite for you the maqtal of Sayyidat Nisa al-Alameen. From the time of the musibah of the door up till the time that Amirul Mu'mineen laid her in the qabr. The narrations mention that upon the martyrdom of Rasulullah and the events of Saqifa, Sayyidat Nisa al-Alameen spent the rest of her life weeping in grief over the events that had transpired. Every Tuesday and Thursday, Sayeda Fatima Zahra would go out to the graves of the Shuhada. She would go to the graves of Uhud, and she would sit at the grave of Sayyid Hamza. She would sit there and she would cry over the tragedy of Rasulullah. And then she would come back towards the mosque and she would weep at the grave of Rasulullah. Every day that passed, the weeping of Sayeda Fatima Zahra became stronger and more deeper than the day before, until one day she was crying at the grave of Rasulullah. She fainted from the amount of crying. When the women of Bani Hashim, they began to spray water on the face of Sayyidat Nisa al-Alameen. She took a part of the grave of Rasulullah. She took some turab from the grave of Rasulullah. She smelt it and then she began to say. She took a part of the sand of the grave and then she began to say, ماذا على من شم تربة أحمد أن لا يشم مدى الزمان غواليا. Allah, Allah. She says, ماذا لمن شم تراب أحمد أن لا يشم مدى الزمان غواليا. يا مغيب من تحت أطباق الثرى إن تسمعوا صرختي وندائي صبت علي المصائب لو أنها صبت على الأيام سرنا ليالي. Sayyidah Zahra would say, oh, the one, Ya Rasulullah, the one who is buried inside of this qabr, are you able to hear my weeping? Are you able to hear my screaming? Allah. She says, the amount of the masa'ib, the tragedies that have fallen over me, had they fallen over the day, they would have become into nights. I say, Ya Zahra, which tragedy is this that would make the days into nights? Is it the lung that, is it the nail that pierced your lung? Allah, is it the broken rib? Is it Mohsin? Which musibah, Zahra? The narrations mention that every day Sayeda Fatima Zahra would weep louder and weep even deeper until the shuyukh of Medina came to Amir al-Mu'mineen and they said to him, Ya Abul Hasan, Fatima cries in the daytime and Fatima also cries in the night time. We are neither able to be at peace during the day nor at the night. Tell Fatima either to cry in the morning or to cry in the night. The reality is that whenever Sayyidah Zahra would cry, it was a reminder and a protest of the dhulm that had happened on her and the wasi, and they were not able to bear the guilt guilty feeling. So they didn't want Sayeda Zahra to cry. Amir al-Mu'mineen went to Sayeda Zahra and he said to her that the people of Medina say either cry in the morning or cry in the night. Sayeda Zahra said that I shall not stop to weep, and I shall weep every day so long as I'm alive amongst these people. Amir al-Mu'mineen then built a house for Sayeda Zahra in Jannatul Baqi, known as Baytul Ahzan. Every morning, Sayeda Fatima Zahra would take Hassan and Hussein with her. She would take Hassan and Hussein with her. One of the ulama say, I don't know how Sayeda Zahra held the hands of Hassan and Hussein. He says, why? Because this Sayeda Zahra had a broken rib. For somebody to walk with a broken rib is very difficult. That one hand is needed to support the rib. Allah! She would take Hassan and Hussein to Baytul Ahzan, and she would weep in the day until the night. In the night then Amirul Mu'mineen would bring Sayeda Fatima back in the house. One of the days, Sayeda Zahra asked for Bilal to give the adhan. Bilal had stopped giving the adhan after the day of Saqifa. Then Sayeda Zahra said, I miss the mu'adhin of my father. She asked for Bilal. Sayeda Fatima Zahra asked for Bilal to give the adhan so she could remember the days of her father. The Sahabi went towards Bilal, Ammar, Abu Dhar and Salman, and they said, this is the request of Sayyidati Nisa'il Alameen. Bilal went into the masjid at the place of the adhan, and he started out by saying, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Sayyidah Zahra repeated the same, and then Bilal said, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Sayyidah Zahra said, I bear witness with my body and my existence that there is no God but Allah. And then Bilal said, Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. When Zahra heard Muhammadan Rasulullah, the narrations mention that she cried and she cried until she fainted. Amir al-Mu'mineen sent Salman to the masjid, and he says, oh Bilal, if you want Fatima to live, if you want Fatima to live, stop the adhan, ya Bilal. Allah, Jazakumullah khaira, ya Allah, ya Shia, Amirul Mu'mineen. May you be rewarded for your azah and your tears, and these are tears that reach to Sayyidah Fatima Zahra. Allah. The narrations mention that as the days passed, Sayyidah Zahra began to become weaker and weaker in her strength. Many of the times she would remain unconscious, and this is due to the severity of the wounds that were affected on her from the assault behind the door. 3 days before her shahada, she called Amir al-Mu'mineen and she said, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ya Abul Hassan, I have seen my father Rasulullah in a dream, and he is calling me towards him. Ya Ali, I would now like to give you my wasiyah. At this point, Amirul Mu'mineen began to cry. He said, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. What type of a difficulty is this, O Fatima? You are my strength and you are my comfort after Rasulullah. Allah, Allah. Fatima, the strength of Amirul Mu'mineen. She says, Fatima began to give her wasiyah to Amir al-Mu'mineen. She said to him, O Abul Hassan, after me I want you to marry my cousin Umama, for indeed she shall be a good mother towards my children. Ya Abul Hassan, my wasiyah to you is that you should bury me in the darkness of the night. You are the one who should give me the ghusl and the kafan and the hunut, and I want you to recite the salat over me. Ya Abul Hasan, do not let any one of those who have oppressed me to attend my janazah, and I want you to bury me in the middle of the night and hide the traces of my grave. In the end she said, my last wasiyah to you, Ya Abul Hasan, take care of my children. Hassan and Hussein, Zainab and Kulthum, they are going to become yatim, they are going to become aitam without me. Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, you take care of them, Allah. Once Sayeda Zahra completed the wasiyah to Amir al-Mu'mineen, she then called out her daughter, Sayeda Zainab al-Kubra. She said, Sayeda Zainab, 4 or 5 years of age, the mother Sayeda Zahra makes Sayeda Zainab sit next to her. She says, oh my daughter Zainab, I have 2 wasiyahs for you which I want you to fulfill for me. She said the first one, Sayeda Zahra removed for her the shirt of Nabi Ibrahim al-Khalil, and she said, Ya Zainab, this is an amana that I give to you. I want you to give this shirt to your brother Hussein on the day of Ashura, on the day when he shall be surrounded by the enemies. And then Sayyidah Zahra said, oh my daughter Zainab, I have an amana for you. On that day of Ashura, when you are in the plains of Karbala, I want you to kiss the neck of my son Hussein. Allah. Sayyidah Zainab said, oh mother, why should I kiss the neck of Imam al-Hussein? Fatima said, this is the neck in which they shall be the khanjar of Shimur. Sayyidat Nisa al-Alameen gave the wasiyah to Zainab al-Kubra. On the day of her shahada, the narrations mention that she prepared the food, she cooked the food for the family, and she washed the hair of Imam Hassan and Hussein. She then sent the Imamain to Masjidun Nabawi, and she sent Sayyidah Zainab and Kulthum to the houses of one of the women of Bani Hashim. This is because Sayyidah Fatima did not want her children to witness her death. There was only her and Asma bint Umaysh in the house. Sayyidah Zahra said to Asma bint Umaysh, I shall now go in my room and I shall begin to recite the tasbih. When you stop hearing the tasbih, O Asma, know that Fatima has left the dunya. The narrations mention Ya Shi'at Fatima. These are the final moments of the life of Sayyidah Zahra. The narrations mention Sayyidah Zahra went in her room. She lied down on the ground facing the Qibla, reciting the tasbih, Subhanallah walhamdulillah wa la ilaha illallah Allahu Akbar. Asma bint Umaysh says, I stood outside the room. I kept listening to the tasbih, and then the voice of Sayyidah Zahra became lower and lower. At one point, Sayyidah Zahra stopped reciting the tasbih. She says, I went closer to the room. I heard Sayyidah Fatima say, Assalamu alayka ya Rasul Allah. Assalamu alayka ya Jibreel. Assalamu alayka ya Malak al-Maut. Allah. The narrations mention that Fatima straightened her legs, she straightened her hands, she closed her eyes. Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. The ruh of Fatima left her body. The ruh of Fatima left the dunya. Wa Fatima wa musibata. Allah, Allah. One of our teachers, the ulama in Hawza Ilmiya, I don't know, forgive me Sadat for saying this. I don't know if you have the energy to listen to this, but our ulama, the ulama in the Hawza, one of our teachers, they used to say, when a person is leaving the dunya, they close both their eyes. But when Sayeda Zahra was leaving the dunya, she closed only one eye. They said, what about the other one? He says, because of the way Kung Fu had slapped Sayeda Fatima, that eye was swollen and closed until her death. The narrations mention that Salatul Dhuhr and Asr had been completed. Imam Hassan and Hussein came from the masjid into the house. When they came into the house, they asked Asma bint Umays, "Oh Asma, Auntie Asma, where is our mother Fatima?" Asma bint Umays wiped her tears. How does she tell the children their mother has died? Asma bint Umays didn't answer anything. She said to Hassan and Hussein, "Let me prepare the food so you can eat the food." Imam al-Hassan looked towards Imam al-Hussein and he said, "Oh Asma, when have you seen us eat food without our mother Fatima?" Imam al-Hassan knew that something is wrong, so he ran straight away into the room of Sayeda Fatima Zahra. Imam al-Hussein behind him. Imam al-Hassan threw himself on the shoulders of Sayeda Fatima. Imam al-Hussein on the feet of Sayeda Fatima. Imam al-Hassan shakes Sayeda Fatima Zahra and he says, "Ya Umma kallimini, oh mother, speak to me." Sayeda Zahra doesn't give an answer. Imam al-Hussein kisses the feet of his mother Sayeda Zahra. He says, "Oh mother, this is your son Hussein. Answer me, otherwise I shall die from grief." Allahu Akbar. Asma bint Umays comes and hugs Hassan and Hussein. She says to them, "Go and inform your father about the shahada of Sayeda Fatima Zahra." The two children go running out of the house into the masjid weeping and wailing. The Sahabi think that the children are crying because they miss Rasulullah. The narrations mention they went to Amir al-Mu'mineen and they said to him, "Ya Abata, kad matat ummuna Fatima." They said, "Oh father, our mother Fatima has died." Allah, do you know what was the reaction of Amir al-Mu'mineen when he heard that Fatima has died? The hadith says, فَوَقَعَ عَلَى وَجْهِهِ. Amir al-Mu'mineen fell down in Masjid al-Nabawi face first. The news of the Shahada of Sayeda Fatima Zahra had reached the entire Medina. The people came into the house, all of them giving condolences. They saw Imam Hassan and Hussein, Sayeda Zainab and Kulthum sitting in the corner of the house, Amirul Mu'mineen hugging them. Amirul Mu'mineen then gave the command, or he gave instructions to Abu Dhar. "Oh Abu Dhar, make an announcement to the people that the funeral of Sayeda Zahra has been delayed." All the people left the house thinking that the funeral would be the next day. In the middle of the night, Amirul Mu'mineen began to give the ghusl to Sayeda Fatima Zahra. Asma bint Umays says, "I was passing the water to Amirul Mu'mineen. As he was giving a ghusl, at one point Amirul Mu'mineen began to cry. He stopped the ghusl and he sat on the side. Asma bint Umays came and she said, "Ya Amirul Mu'mineen, you are the one who tells us to have sabr. You are the one who tells us to have patience. Today, Ya Amirul Mu'mineen, you were crying." Amirul Mu'mineen said, "Ya Asma, I was giving the ghusl to Fatima and I felt the broken bone of Fatima." Amirul Mu'mineen gave the coffin Amirul Mu'mineen gave the coffin to Sayeda Fatima, and he put the hunut on her that was brought from Jannah. They brought the janazah of Sayeda Zahra in the middle of the house. Amirul Mu'mineen cried out, "O Hassan, O Hussein, O Zainab Kulthum, come and do the last ziyarah of your mother. Come and see her for the last time. For indeed after this the separation shall be very long." The narrations mention the children threw themselves on the body of Sayeda Fatima. Imam Hassan and Imam al-Hussein's tears were falling on the coffin. Imam Hassan and Hussein cried out, "O mother, when you meet Rasulullah, tell them that we have become aitam. Tell them that the ummah has oppressed us." Amirul Mu'mineen says, "I swear by Allah, when Hassan and Hussein began to cry, from inside of the coffin, Sayeda Fatima removed her hands to hug the children. Jibreel cried out, 'Ya Ali, move Hassan and Hussein away. The Malaika at the Arsh cannot bear the crying of Hassan and Hussein.'" The narrations mention that Amirul Mu'mineen began to dig the qabr for Sayeda Fatima Zahra with a lot of difficulty. I don't know how, but Amirul Mu'mineen lay Fatima Zahra in the qabr, and then he said, "O qabr, I am returning to you the gift that was given to me by Rasulullah." Amirul Mu'mineen slowly begins to cover the grave of Sayyidatin Nisa'il Alameen. Allah, Akhir Kalam, this is the last part of the Maktal. This is the last statement of the Maktal, Ya Ahibba'i. When Amirul Mu'mineen put sand on the qabr of Sayeda Fatima Zahra, Amirul Mu'mineen was so broken and so hurt, he began to cry and cry. I say, "Ya Amirul Mu'mineen, you were crying when you put Sayeda Zahra in the qabr. I cannot help but think what was going through the mind of Zain al-Abidin in Karbala. Allah, 13th of Muharram, Zain al-Abidin wants to bury Imam al-Hussein. The hadith mentioned Imam Sajjad carries Imam al-Hussein from the right side. He sits down. He carries Imam al-Hussein from the left side. He sits down. They said to Sajjad, "Why do you sit down? Is the body of Imam al-Hussein so heavy?" Imam Sajjad says, "No, but when I lift my father from the right side, the left side falls down. When I lift him from the left, the right side falls down." They trampled on the body of Abu Abdullah. They broke every bone. You couldn't even lift the body in one piece.
Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Mata mein Hussein, mata mein Fatima.
Fatima Zahra, aye mazluma. 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 फातिमा ज़हरा, हाय मज़लूमा फातिमा ज़हरा, हाय मज़लूमा फातिमा ज़हरा। या अली मज़लूमा फातिमा ज़हरा, या अली मज़लूमा फातिमा ज़हरा। आज की शब से लहद है और ज़हरा या अली, आज की शब से लहद है और ज़हरा या अली, कुछ वसीयत करती हूँ, कुछ वसीयत करती हूँ, सुन लीजिएगा या अली, आज की शब से लहद है और ज़हरा या अली, आज की शब से लहद है और ज़हरा या अली। कोई दुश्मन दीन का आए न मैयत पर मेरी, कोई दुश्मन दीन का आए न मैयत पर मेरी, और निकले रात को, और निकले रात को घर से जनाजा या अली, आज की शब से लहद है और ज़हरा या अली, आज की शब से लहद है और ज़हरा। इस तरह बाबा की उम्मत ने दिया पुरसा मुझे, इस तरह बाबा की उम्मत ने दिया पुरसा मुझे, फातिमा का हो गया, फातिमा का हो गया छलनी कलेजा या अली, आज की शब से लहद है और ज़हरा या अली, आज की शब से लहद है और ज़हरा। ऐ मेरे सरताज हरदम रखिएगा उनका ख्याल, ऐ मेरे सरताज हरदम रखिएगा उनका ख्याल। मैंने बच्चों को मुसीबत, मैंने बच्चों को मुसीबत से है पाला या अली, आज की शब से लहद है और ज़हरा या अली, आज की शब से लहद है और ज़हरा। खबर में मैं रोऊंगी, बच्चे मेरे जो रोएंगे, खबर में मैं रोऊंगी, बच्चे मेरे जो रोएंगे, वास्ते मेरे न उनको, वास्ते मेरे न उनको रोने देना या अली आज की शब से लहद है और ज़हरा या अली आज की शब से लहद है और ज़हरा या अली
मदीने में एक ऐसा भी वक्त आया है, रोने वालों शहर मदीने में एक ऐसा भी वक्त आया है, रोने वालों शहर मदीने में एक ऐसा भी वक्त आया है, रोने वालों शहर मदीने में एक ऐसा भी वक्त आया है, रोने वालों शहर मदीने में एक ऐसा भी वक्त आया है, रोने वालों शहर मदीने में एक ऐसा भी वक्त आया है, रोने वालों शहर मदीने में एक ऐसा भी वक्त आया, रोने वालों शहर मदीने में एक ऐसा भी वक्त। कलमा गोयों ने कलमा वालों को, कलमा गोयों ने कलमा वालों को हरे दरबार में रुलाया है, रोने वालों शहर मदीने में एक ऐसा भी वक्त आया है, रोने वालों शहर मदीने में एक ऐसा भी वक्त आया, रोने वालों शहर मदीने में एक ऐसा भी वक्त आया, रोने वालों शहर मदीने में एक ऐसा भी वक्त आया है मुकदमा रसूल ज़ादी का हर दरबार में वो आई है, जिन पे अल्लाह भी दुरूद पढ़े, ऐसे फरज़ंद साथ लाई है, आसमाने पे दखने पे कैसे उन गवाहों का दिल दुखाया है, रोने वालों शहर मदीने में एक ऐसा भी वक्त आया है, रोने वालों शहर मदीने में एक ऐसा भी वक्त आया है, रोने वालों शहर मदीने में एक ऐसा भी वक्त आया है। मसनदे मुस्तफा पे नासिब है, सामने मुस्तफा की बेटी है, मेरा हक दे दो मुसलमानों, रोके खैरों निसा ये कहती है, तेरे बाबा के बाद क्यों तुमने फातिमा पे ये जुल्म ढाया है, रोने वालों शहर मदीने में एक ऐसा भी वक्त आया वालों शहर मदीने में एक ऐसा भी वक्त आया है, रोने वालों शहर मदीने में एक ऐसा भी वक्त आया है, रोने वालों शहर मदीने में एक ऐसा भी वक्त आया है। कब्र अहमद पे जाके कहने लगी, फातिमा को ज़ईफ़ कर डाला, देखो बाबा तुम्हारी उम्मत ने कितना मुझको ज़ईफ़ कर डाला, मेरा मोहसिन शहीद कर डाला, मेरे पहलू पे दर गिराया है, रोने वालों शहर मदीने में एक ऐसा भी वक्त आया है, रोने वालों शहर मदीने में एक ऐसा भी वक्त आया है, रोने वालों शहर मदीने में एक ऐसा भी वक्त आया है। कलमा गोयों ने कलमा वालों को, कलमा गोयों ने कलमा वालों को भरे दरबार में रुलाया है, रोने वालों शहर मदीने में एक ऐसा भी वक्त आया है, रोने वालों शहर मदीने में एक ऐसा भी वक्त आया है। बोला बेसर्फ है नबी ज़ादी, तेरे हक तो मैं जानता ही नहीं, जो लिखी थी तुम्हारे बाबा ने, मैं वो तहरीर मानता ही नहीं, चाक कर दी सनत मोहम्मद की, मैं कहा जोर से लगाया है, रोने वालों शहर मदीने में एक ऐसा भी वक्त आया है, रोने वालों शहर मदीने में एक ऐसा भी वक्त आया है, रोने वालों शहर मदीने में एक ऐसा भी वक्त आया है, रोने वालों शहर मदीने में एक ऐसा भी वक्त आया है। कब्र अहमद पे जाके कहने लगी, फातिमा को ज़ईफ़ कर डाला, देखो बाबा तुम्हारी उम्मत ने कितना मुझको ज़ईफ़ कर डाला, मेरा मोहसिन शहीद कर डाला, मेरे पहलू पे दर गिराया है, रोने वालों शहर मदीने में एक ऐसा भी वक्त आया है, रोने वालों शहर मदीने में एक ऐसा भी वक्त आया है, रोने वालों शहर मदीने में एक ऐसा भी वक्त आया है। गम आले अबा में रहता है, जिक्र शफीर आम करता है, मातमी को दो किरणों में इसलिए भी सलाम करता है, जिसने बीबी बतूल के गम में दिल को बैतुल हुज़न बनाया है, रोने वालों शहर मदीने में एक ऐसा भी वक्त आया।
मोहम्मद और मोहम्मद सल्लल्लाहु
फातिमा के दुश्मन पे लानत,